Okay, section 5.4 continued. We're finding the equations for lines under scenario 2 for slope-intercept form. Scenario 2 for slope-intercept form, we're going to be giving two sets of ordered pairs, in which case we'll either have to recognize them as one of our special circumstances, a vertical or a horizontal line, by recognizing that both the x's are the same vertical lines or both the y's are the same horizontal lines. Or if we don't recognize them as either of our special conditions, then we have to find the slope, we have to be able to recognize the y-intercept, and then we plug into slope-intercept form. So let's look at example A here. We have the ordered pair 0, 5 and negative 1, 7. Neither the x's nor the y's are both the same, so this is not a special line. So we're simply going to start out by finding the slope of this line. We're going to use the slope formula to do that we learned way back in, I think it was chapter 2 in this book. So the y1 minus the y2, so 7 minus 5 over x1 minus x2, negative 1 minus 0, and we simplify. 7 minus 5 is 2, negative 1 minus 0 is negative 1. Simplify that slope to negative 2. Next, we have to recognize that this is my y-intercept because the x is equal to 0. So y is equal to negative 2x, right, the slope times the x, plus the y-intercept, which is 5. And there's our equation for our line. All right, our next example, again, the first thing we're going to notice is that the x's aren't the same, neither are the y's, so we don't have a special line here. So the first thing that we need to do when we're given these two ordered pairs is to find the slope. So y2 minus y1, so 4 minus 0 over x2 minus x1, and then we simplify, so that looks like 4 over 2, and again we simplify. 4 over 2 is 2. Now that we know the slope, we need the y-intercept. We're going to see that this is the y-intercept because this is 0. When x equals 0, that's your y-intercept point. And so now we can say y is equal to 2, the slope, times the x, and then plus 0, which remember, plus 0, that's the identity property, and we don't have to write it. So y is equal to 2x. That one, remember, is a special line of the line through the origin, where our y-intercept and our x-intercept are the same. They're both equal to 0. Moving on to our next example. Our next example, oh my goodness, look at this. When I go to do that investigation, I see that my x's are the same. This tells me that I have a vertical line. And when I have a vertical line, that means that my equation looks like x equals whatever that number is, and I'm done. This, by the way, is the only way to find the equation of a vertical line. You don't have any other choice because a vertical line is not a function. It cannot be put into slope-intercept form. Our next one, we look at the x's to see if they're the same. Nope, we look at the y. Oh, the y's are the same. And so because the y's are exactly the same, this is telling us that this is a horizontal line. And because this is a horizontal line, we can simply write this as y equals that number that we see as both of the y values. This is the easiest way to find the equation for a horizontal line. Now, the horizontal line, you could do all of the same steps we did in part A and part B, but it's really a waste of your time, and it's really much better to use this process. Okay, next one we have, scenario 3 here, is we have a graphed line. And so in this one, what we have going on is we have to find the slope visually. So we're going to go from this point down to this point. Our rise is negative 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So our slope is a negative 5 over, now we're going to go the run, so starting from here, over 1, 2 to the right, so it's a positive, and there's my slope. And then I'm going to go investigate where is it crossing the y-axis. It's crossing the y-axis at the point 0, negative 2. And so now that I know my slope and my y-intercept, I simply write that equation. Y equals negative 5 halves x, and then plus a negative 2 if you want, or just minus 2 being the preference. And there you go. That's the slope intercept.